good evening or afternoon or middle of the afternoon or morning, whenever it may be, and thanks for tuning into the Greene Room. I'm Garrett Greene, bringing you all the latest scores, news, and information from around the sporting worlds. We've made it back-to-back nights. It's a new record for the last 6 months. It seems like we haven't been able to do this, so let's go ahead and get things kicked off. We're going to start off in the land of college football, where Nick Saban received a 2-year contract extension that is reportedly worth $5.6 million a year. Now, to break things down for you, Saban starts with his base contract salary of $5.3 million in 2012. He'll receive a $500,000 raise that year, and then that will increase to a $100,000 raise annually. That means that Nick Saban will end up making almost $45 million in his 8 years that he is reportedly going to spend at Alabama now. So Nick Saban has found a way to make money off of, well, the most important thing in Alabama, and that's Alabama Crimson Tide football. On to other coaches, not tragically staying where they were. Frank Martin will move on now and become the head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, leaving Kansas State. Apparently, he just couldn't get enough of Missouri and wants to go play him in the SEC, so he's heading there. Now, on a college basketball note, the AP All-Americans were released today, and as a unanimous choice, Thomas Robinson of Kansas made the team. He is the first unanimous All-American to make it since 2009. That was Blake Griffin. The other four rounding it out: Jared Sullinger of Ohio State, Draymond Green of Michigan State, Doug McDermott of Creighton, and of course, Anthony Davis of Kentucky. That means that all five All-Americans were no shorter than 6'7", and 60% of them are playing in the Final Four, so obviously very worthy young men who made the All-American team this year. Now, staying with a coaching theme, but moving sports, we're going to go to the NFL here. Sean Payton has reportedly talked with Bill Parcels about coaching the Saints in the 2012 season, which, just my opinion, I don't know all the facts about it yet. It's all coming out, but think about it. For Bill Parcells, you have 1 year that you're going to be coming back. You know it's only going to be a 1 year thing, and you're taking over a team that won the Super Bowl 3 years ago. You still are going to have Drew Brees as your quarterback, theoretically, as long as the Saints get a contract worked out with him, which I feel like they will. You're coming into a team that's already Super Bowl ready. You've already won a Super Bowl as a coach. You have an opportunity to win one more and just add to your resume. I feel like it's a win-win for Bill Parcells and that he is going to take it. But we'll see how it all turns out. And then our other NFL note that we forgot to mention yesterday was that instead of signing with the Broncos to go play with Peyton Manning, Jeff Saturday instead agreed to a deal with the Green Bay Packers, and he was filling the void that was left after center Scott Wells went and signed with the St. Louis Rams. So Saturday called Manning and said that, very heartfelt, said that he was not going to be joining Peyton in Denver, said that it was difficult for him, but that it was the right decision for him to make. Now moving on to a little bit of soccer talk. We're touching on all the unconventional sports over a couple of days. We had boxing and golf yesterday. We got men's soccer today. The United States lost its chance to qualify for the Olympics after it finished its game versus El Salvador with a 3-3 tie. Now that came down with El Salvador scoring in stop time. Apparently at the very end of stop time, according to the report that I read, it said that there was supposed to be 4 minutes of stop time, and the television showed 4:14 on the clock of stop time that was being played at the end of the game whenever the goal was scored. It went off of substitute goalie Sean Johnson's hands and bounced into the goal. That eliminates the United States' chances of making the Olympics. Now let's go ahead and dive into a couple of scores from this evening. And before we get into the women's basketball scores from last night, I do have to issue a correction that I would not feel correct about if I didn't. Last night I was going over the scores to the women's game. We mentioned Maryland, Texas A&M, Connecticut, Penn State, Kentucky over Gonzaga, and then I got to the Notre Dame game. And I had not read over all of the scores. I was counting on just reading them off of ESPN right there in their top line. And I got there and I saw the name of St. Bonaventure, but it only said S-T-B-O-N-A. And I knew what that was, but I couldn't remember quite how to pronounce it. I made a comment that I felt like disrespected women's sports a little bit, and so I want to retroactively correct that. The final score to last night's game was Notre Dame 79, St. Bonaventure 35. So Notre Dame marches on. Now we can move on to the games from tonight in women's basketball, where the number 1 ranked Lady Bears and Brittany Griner were taking on perennial contender Tennessee. They went on to win 77-58, but you had a little bit of a scuffle at the end of the game and had 3 Baylor players ejected, including Brittany Griner, as she came off the bench to try and break up the scuffle. I'm sure you'll see highlights of it, but I don't think that there's going to be any suspension for further games. But with about 42 seconds left, Brittany Griner was forced to leave the arena, but Baylor does advance on into the Final Four. They are still a perfect 38-0 on the season, and number 1 Stanford topped Duke tonight 81-69. Now on to the NHL, where you had several good games going on tonight. The Lightning topped the Flyers 5-3. The Flames outlast the Stars 5-4. The Red Wings topped the Blue Jackets 7-2. The Senators beat the Jets 6-4. Canucks topped the Kings 1-0, and the Sharks beat the Avalanche 5-0. And now we're going to round this whole thing out with your NBA scores for the evening. So here we go. Pacers beat the Heat 105-90. That makes back-to-back 15-point losses for the Miami Heat. Back-to-back losses, obviously, too. The Detroit Pistons topped the Washington Wizards 79-77 as Rodney Stuckey goes for 12 in the fourth quarter, including a buzzer beater to win it for Detroit. The Magic topped the Raptors 117-101. The Celtics beat the Bobcats 102-95 behind Paul Pierce's 36 points. He also had 10 rebounds in the game. The Jazz topped the Nets 105-84. The Knicks beat the Bucks 89-80. Carmelo Anthony going for 28. No Jeremy Lin for the Knicks, and they still managed to get the win. Nuggets topped the Bulls 108-91. The Rockets topped the Kings 113-106 in overtime. And to round it all out, the Clippers topped the Hornets 97-85. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of my productions manager, because it's me, and we don't have a lot of productions, but if you want to see what it actually looks like whenever I have a teleprompter and graphics and highlights and everything, shameless self-promotion here, I'm going to post a link on Facebook and Twitter whenever it's up. Texas Student Television, Sports on News for KVRX. I made an appearance tonight. Go check it out. Tell me what you think, what you like, what you didn't like. Catch up on your sports knowledge from around the 40 acres. And hey, while you're at it, follow me at Garrett Greene on Twitter. Keep up. I tend to tweet about a couple of things and, generally try and provide good sports knowledge. And, of course, keep it right here on the Greene Room. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We'll be back again tomorrow.